Good evening, hello and welcome to this special broadcast. I'm Anusha Soni. First, it was the IT capital of India, the city of Bengaluru, that literally drowned as heavy rainfall unleashed mayhem. And now, the story is being painfully repeated in Gurugram. As a yellow alert was sounded in the NCR region, key highways and roads saw severe flooding, leading to schools being shut down and government advising work from home for the private sector employees. Year after year, we narrate the story of cities sinking, each story worse than the last one. Our politicians indeed have failed to address this issue effectively. Rapid urbanization, complete absence of any planning to tackle climate change will make the situation much worse in the years to come. Experts say that. Who is responsible for this mayhem? How can we tackle this crisis? Our focus on biggest exclusive tonight. First up, our special report.
A fresh spell of rains, an old story. Bengaluru and Mumbai then, Millennium City Gurugram today. Traffic at a virtual standstill, schools and so-called dispensable services shut, advisories and warnings, the flimsy formula the Aam Aadmi has learned to accept with a shrug. So what if this NCR town houses country headquarters of multinational corporate giants? The administration asked corporate offices and private institutions in the district to guide their employees to work from home.
12 बजे के करीब बारिश हुई थी और उसके बाद देर रात तक बारिश रही है और यही वजह रही है कि गुरुग्राम के बहुत से इलाकों में काफी पानी जो है वो भरा हुआ है.
The culprit is continuous and heavy rains over the past 24 hours. The Gurugram Metropolitan Development Authority says it deployed teams on the ground through the night to remove water from critical areas. 3,000 cops, PCR vans and tow-away vehicles were stationed to ease difficult situations.
इनों को पहले से अपनी प्रिपरेशन करके रखनी चाहिए ना. जब इनों को पता है कि इस रोड पे पानी काफी ज्यादा भर जाता है, लोगों को दिक्कत परेशानी होती है आने जाने में.
पानी में कितना पानी भरा हुआ है, इतना गवर्नमेंट ने अच्छे रोड बना दिए, सुप्रीम कोर्ट इतना अच्छा पूरा वीआईपी रोड है ये, फिर भी इतना पानी भरा हुआ है.
पंप से पानी कहाँ जाएगा? नीचे जाएगा. नीचे फिर भी भरा पड़ा है. आप नीचे अगर कोई बंदा जाता है नीचे भी तो पानी भर रहा है. पंप से ये तो है नहीं है, पंप से यहाँ का पानी नीचे फेंक दोगे.
The Met Office forecasts more rains in the Delhi NCR region over the coming 2 days too, on account of a stated cyclonic circulation over northwestern MP and southwestern UP.
Now rain over NCR will gradually reduce. There are chances like Delhi today, we have given moderate. Yesterday we have given heavy and it was realized. Today we are giving only moderate rain, but tomorrow there are chances that rain may increase actually. By 25th night, NCR will be clear from clouds.
Bear in mind that like a Bengaluru or Mumbai or Chennai, Gurugram and Delhi NCR are among the country's frontline metro municipalities, big industry and big tax collections. As infrastructure cracks attributed to nature's fury show up again and again, the refrain that arises is, doesn't the Aam Aadmi deserve better?
Well, here is a shout out to our viewers. You can call us live. You can tell us your story if you're living in one of the cities which is flooded, which is affected by this rain mayhem. Give us a call. Who's responsible for our sinking cities? Call us live. Share your views. We also have a full panel of guests joining us on the broadcast. But before that, let's also take you through the story of Gurugram, Mumbai, Bengaluru, the three key cities who are usually affected each monsoon, and as I said earlier, much worse than the last time. Gurugram, the present suffering about 1.755 mm rains on the 22nd of September. Yellow alert has been sounded. We saw those visuals. You had the big highways flooded, people stuck in traffic jams, cars floating. There's water that entered into residential society, especially the houses which are built on the ground floor. Now the waterlogged roads, clogged traffic, schools shut down, office asked to work from home. This is a story year after year. It doesn't change, unfortunately. Inadequate drainage infrastructure, natural rains disrupted. If you cut hills, if you cut Aravalis, if there is illegal mining which is happening in eco-sensitive areas, that's what will happen. Now, in Gurugram, exploding urbanization, change in the land use pattern is one of the key reasons. Expert reports point out that more than 100% if you look at the rate of urbanization, the manner in which the residential societies have gone up, encroachments, choke drains, you've not built ponds, you've created parking lots, but there is no place for the rainwater harvesting to really go. Let's talk about Bengaluru. We have spoken about the story earlier as well, and we saw there are vast areas that were submerged. The IT hub came to a near standstill. And this is one of the big cities, one of the prime cities of the country that we are talking about. Areas around Bengaluru Lake, they were worst affected. There are multiple stories that we narrated to you that how the ecologically sensitive areas have been a victim of illegal encroachment. And that is the reason you had losses of over 7,400 crore rupees that were suffered by the IT companies. And if you speak to any of these entrepreneurs living in the IT capital, they'll tell you, we don't want compensation, we want better cities to live in. Excessive construction, lake encroachment, the nexus of the builders and the netas that we've spoken about, that's what exactly is responsible, and that's why you have the lake interconnectivity which has been lost and eco-sensitive areas which are the victim of encroachment. In the city of Bengaluru, we saw this mess. Of course, there are natural canals and drains that are blocked. There was an argument that there is no long-term strategy in place. You saw the politicians indulging in blame game. The city of Mumbai, the financial capital of the country, is not very different, unfortunately. You had uncommon flooding in parts of South Mumbai, near Gurugram. You had Churchgate, the Hind Mata, that area, of course, infamously, each time there's a rain, it's flooded. Heavy flooding on city highways. The potholes are a key issue. And in Mumbai, one of the worst part is that despite being the financial capital, each year during the monsoon season, because of this urban mayhem, there are many people who lose their lives. But it's a story that continues to be repeated. However, there's been no solution. Low-lying areas go completely submerged, not to forget the fact that Mumbai has a special kind of a geography that makes it far more challenging. But these are realities of climate change, the realities of climate change that the big cities in the country will have to face. You also had the frantic pace of construction, green patches which are fading. Many political parties now are talking about it, that how development needs to be also environmentally very responsible. Multiple orders of the National Green Tribunal have been made, whether it's Mumbai, Bengaluru or Gurugram, to ensure that housing societies come up in a very responsible manner. That didn't happen. Construction debris, clogged drains, nalas, not silted in time. The basic work that the municipal authorities need to do, that is not done. You also had the Methi River, more like Seaver, overflowing every monsoon season, and that doesn't really paint a great picture of one of the most thriving cities of the country. There is a major deficiency in the drainage system. There is a CAG report of 2019, and we have seen that how despite these multiple expert reports that have existed, very little has happened on the ground. But let's focus what's happening in NCR right now. In Gurugram, it's a story of huge highways that have been made. But at the same time, you see water being, flooded. And my colleague Yash is there on the ground. Yash, I see you on the ground reporting. Behind you, it's dark, but I can make that, there's heavy rainfall, water clogged, cars moving at a very slow pace. Tell us the story. What's happening in Gurugram right now?
Well, Anusha, the story continues to be the same. Right now, if I can show you, this particular road of Sector 47 is completely inundated in water, and this has been the same story for quite a years now. What we can show you in these visuals, this entire stretch, this particular road of Sector 47 is approximately 2.5 kilometers long, and this entire stretch is inundated in water. Not only that, we also spoke to some of the locals over here. They say that this story continues to repeat, and they continues to bear the brunt of rains every year. What I can also tell you, one very worrying situation over here is that there is one hospital right over here, and you can see that. Just imagine if any sort of untoward situation arises, if some sort of situation arises over here, what will happen? How the patient is supposed to reach to the destination, as these roads are completely submerged under the water. I can also tell you that we've been reporting from this particular area since the morning, and I've been here on the ground at this particular spot since 12 p.m. and I can tell you that this particular area has no water pump installed over here, and I have barely seen any officials either from the traffic police or from the Gurugram authorities to take cognizance or to resolve any situation which is arising over here. People are continuously suffering. Their vehicles are getting stalled over here. You can see this one particular vehicle which is currently being stalled due to the heavy rains, and this story continues to play out. One other thing which we really need to understand is right now is that this particular area was actually constructed way back, but still construction is going on the side pavements, and due to these heavy rains, these pavements have been broken and the water is continuously getting inside these roads. So if we talk about a solution, there doesn't seem to be a solution as per se right now, just because the kind of infrastructure we are seeing over here in Gurugram and in this particular lane, which is at this particular road, which is the Sector 47 road, it doesn't seem that woes of people will end very soon. Though the IMD has said, and I spoke to the senior scientist over there, he actually categorically mentioned that rains will subside in this region, but rains will subside. But the thing to understand is that rains will go, but this crumbled infrastructure will stay. What will happen in the future?
Will stay. What will happen in the future?
Phenomenal.
And Yash, as you pointed out, this is a story which is repeated each year. Gurugram, as an urban destination, is known for the massive flyovers, amazing urban construction that has happened, real estate projects that came with much fanfare. And what happens each year? You see this waterlogging that happens, snarl traffic, schools being shut down, people asked to work from home. That's the new trend that has really emerged because our politicians and our netas are not able to fix the issues that they should. Once again, reiterating for our viewers, if you have a point of view, if you're suffering because of this rain fury, call us live, share your views and tell us what you really think. Opening up this question to our guest as well, who's responsible for our sinking cities and when will this mayhem really end? Joining us on the broadcast is Anusha Kapoor. She's the spokesperson of the Delhi BJP. We also have Mudit Agarwal, who's the spokesperson of the Congress Party. Professor Bijan Mishra, he's an activist of consumer rights and also an international consumer policy expert. Umesh Saigal, who's a former chief secretary, is also joining us on the broadcast. Anuja, I'm coming to you first. In the city of Gurugram right now, what we are witnessing, it's not for the first time and unfortunately, it will not be for the last time. What is the government doing? Do you have any long-term policy vision? Because I can cite you reports after reports, how trees have been cut, how illegal mining continues to be a huge issue, how Aravalis continue to be decimated. Gurugram is one of the few districts that has Aravali. And the manner in which the entire area has come down has been well documented in multiple expert reports. Anuja.
Anusha, as you have shown your report on Gurugram, and you very well know that, and you have also said it by yourself that the urbanization and the way it is concentration of the people who have been living throughout, there has been a blockage and the natural drains have been blocked. You also know that it is the area of the Aravali Hills. You also know that. And we have also seen in the further longer years, when we have keep looking into this, the water bodies have come down due to the expansion. So first of all, the problem which comes up is with the population, which is on the higher level, and the way people are trying to stay out in Gurugram from Delhi NCR, and they are going ahead. The government has been tirelessly working throughout. Now, if you would say that it is the act of God also.
Are you saying that, Anuja, that this is an act of God and the government can't do much about it?
The government has been doing, ma'am, and there had been 5 pumps which have been deployed during the rains.
My colleague was just on the ground. Anuja, my colleague was just on the ground and he said that he's standing there since 12 in the afternoon and no pumps have come in to flush out the water.
The water has been taking it, and the first thing which has been come up, because we didn't want it, that the risk of the lives were on the paramount. So we have also asked the people to stay home during this period when the construction at that time, what can be done so that the water logging. You have also have to consider, ma'am, the rains which have come up is like a cloudburst also. Don't blame everything on the person itself.
This is not a cloudburst, ma'am. Ma'am, this is not a cloudburst. Those are very two different things. Cloudburst is a very different phenomenon. Cloudburst is a very different phenomenon. What is happening in our cities is a very different phenomenon. Yes, it's a high rainfall. The government of the day or any civic administration should be prepared for it, Anuja. You can't say it's an act of God.
Gurugram has been doing tirelessly its job wherever the BJP is there, has been doing it.
I'll take the callers. I'll take the callers. Let's
We
listen in
have
to the
not only
citizens.
been
Let's
talking
listen in to
about
the
it.
citizens. Naresh Yadav is joining us from Gurugram. नरेश जी नमस्कार. क्या चल रहा है इस समय गुरुग्राम में? किस तरह की समस्याएं आ रही हैं?
हेलो
नरेश जी आवाज आ रही है आपको?
जी आ रही है
जी बताइए इस समय क्या चल रहा है गुरुग्राम में, कैसी परिस्थिति है?
मैडम बारिश के कारण ना हर जगह जाना बंद है, कोई कहीं जा ही नहीं सकता है। और हमारा जो प्रशासन है ना वो हर साल करोड़ों का बजट खराब कर देता है, कहता है हम तैयार हैं। हर बार इसके बाद यही हाल होता है
जी। बहुत सारे लोग हैं
और अब की
प्रशासन
बार-
से हमारे पास, उनका कहना है कि सरकार अपना काम कर रही है, अब बारिश ही ज्यादा हो रही है तो उसमें हम क्या कर सकते हैं?
नहीं हर साल हर बारिश में ऐसे ही होता है मैम। और अब
जी।
की बार तो इन्होंने बोला था निगम वालों ने कि संबंधित अधिकारी जिम्मेवार होगा, तो अब क्या हुआ?
संबंधित
और
अधिकारी
नरसिंहपुर में तो
जिम्मेदार
थोड़ी सी
होंगे।
बारिश होती
जी
थोड़ी सी
जी
बारिश होते ही नरसिंहपुर में तो बुरा हाल हो जाता है, हमेशा से ये।
जी जी
आप सनबीम कंपनी के बाहर देखोगे, मेन गेट के ऊपर बारिश के टाइम में वो बालू के कट्टे लगा के रखते हैं, कहीं पानी ना आ जाए अंदर।
जी। सैंड माइनिंग और बहुत सारी दूसरी समस्याएं भी है। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया नरेश जी हमसे बात करने के लिए। विनीत फ्रॉम गुरुग्राम इज ऑल्सो जॉइनिंग अस। विनीत, व्हाट आर यू फेसिंग?
Look, I am on the Golf Course Road or Golf Course Road ke bahar. I live in Sun City.
Yeah.
There is always water jamming, waterlogging, and बहुत बुरा हाल होता है.
जी
The point is, this BJP spokesperson on the show is saying बारिश ज़्यादा हो रही है, population ज़्यादा है. Don't you know about this? This happens. Where is your planning? Where is the planned stormwater drainage which takes away the water effectively? Non-existent. They have not done anything in this regard.
All right, I'm glad you're making that point. I'll take that to the BJP spokesperson. I'll take Praveen from Bengaluru as well. Praveen, you face this in the city of Bengaluru. Gurugram is facing something similar. Unfortunately, there's a resemblance in the misery of the cities in our country.
Right, ma'am. Actually, all cities, if you notice, they have grown rapidly, and our governments have not been able to catch up with, the rapid urbanization and population explosion. They haven't been able to deliver, good facilities, good infrastructure, to handle this kind of crisis. First, we need to lay out the roads and then plan for a new city. Ultimately, what happens is the city gets built up, and then we search for space to build roads and infrastructure, or transportation. So, we lack, credible, public transportation.
Proactive planning, and the change,
Yes.
the challenge of climate change is that all governments will have to brace up. I'll take in more callers, but I want to go across to Mudit Agarwal as well of the Congress Party. Mudit ji, and I'll go to Anusha as well for a reaction first. Anusha, why don't you react first? These are people, these are citizens talking. They're not happy with what you're saying.
Okay, if they're not happy, you know that before the Bharatiya Janata Party, it was the Huda government. What were they doing for 10 years? They have built it up, the tall buildings. Did they look into the infrastructure? BJP came now. BJP has been acting upon it. What they have been doing for 10 years?
Political blame game. You
Not
didn't
just
answer the
questioning
question.
BJP will help you.
You didn't
No,
answer
so
the question.
the
I think any
BJP
government
is
who's in
asking
power
the
will be
question,
questioned by me,
Haryana
and that's what I'm doing. Thank you, Anuja. I'm going across to Mudit Agarwal. Mudit ji, the government of this says that they have done their job. People clearly are not happy. When you were in power, was there any kind of proactive planning that the Congress Party did?
See, firstly, what I would say is BJP spokesperson is in a denial mode. Let's understand what the issues are. It's all have to do with urban planning and the things that go into urban planning. I always maintain this: as population increases, as new development infrastructure takes place, it's duty of the governments to make sure the new challenges that come up, they have to be handled. They have to be faced and handled. This is the problem which is happening in NCR year after year after year. You are talking about Gurgaon. Let's talk about Noida. Let's talk about Delhi itself. Delhi is a mess itself. Yesterday night, I was coming back from Gurgaon, actually, from Gurgaon border to my place in Delhi, which normally takes 30 minutes. It took me 2 hours to reach. So Delhi is the same thing, and it's the capital city of India.
Mudit, in all fairness, I'll give you the time to respond. In all fairness, the Congress Party has been in power for the majority of the period after independence. Climate change has not suddenly happened. We were always aware that this kind of urbanization can create a problem someday. Were your governments in the earlier era, were they really cognizant of these problems? Did you do anything to that effect?
So of course we were. If you look back in Delhi, even if you look 10 years back or 15 years back, I mean, we never had such a big issue as we are having right now. In Gurugram also, infrastructure was built at a certain time. But when the new governments come, I mean, they've been here for the last 7 years now. What have they done to improve it? You cannot just keep sitting on the problem. Let's say we developed the cities, but that city needs upgradation. Why haven't you done that for 7 years?
What I'm really appalled is that it's called an act of God and cloudburst, and we can't really do about it.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Bijon Mishra, I want to come to you. Sir, you heard the politicians. Yes, please. 30 seconds to you, sir. 30 seconds.
Seriously, we should not be in denial mode, whichever the party may be. It's our job to make sure that we respond to problems of cities and of people. And we should be cognizant of those problems and try and solve them. Rather than saying it's an act of God or being in denial mode, it doesn't help at all. The government is a continuous process.
Mudiji, the unfortunate reality is we saw something similar in Bengaluru. Something similar happens when we talk about Mumbai. Our political class has refused to live up to the responsibility as proactive measures the citizens are demanding. Educated citizens living in these cities are demanding.
I would like to counter on this, ma'am. Just Anusha, why don't you have an Aam Aadmi party here? Just tell me. Are you just getting politicized by some people?
Anuja, next time, you know, Anuja, the next time I frame my panel, I will message you and I will ask you who I should have on the panel. Thank you very much. I want to move to the other guests. Bijonji, I'm coming to you and talking about, you know, the manner in which our political class has been talking. Political blame game is the order of the day. Despite the fact that the climate change, an issue like climate change requires serious policy thought, we only get political bickering, blame game, and there are no long-term measures which are planned. I mean, I would think that there should be a task force, irrespective of political parties, that should plan that how our cities are going to respond in the next 15 years.
Absolutely. Anusha, you have actually hit the nail on the head. Let me put it this way. All political parties, what I have seen, do not engage the local population while they are developing their plan. And number two, even when they develop a plan and make it go public for public comments, they do not allow citizens groups to engage experts to make comments on those plans. And the plans get made and finalized behind the back. And even if there is a plan in place, it is never implemented in the manner it has been designed by experts in terms of town planning. What you need to see is that how violations are committed repeatedly, whichever political parties come, because they look at it as a money-making machine, that whoever takes care of this portfolio, they're least interested on the citizens' welfare or their goodness or their good living style. They would announce a number of schemes which will talk about smart cities, which will talk about good design.
But at the local municipal level, nothing really happens. Umeshi, what is the reason that our netas and bureaucracy, I would add, has failed to live up to the promise of smart cities, the dreams that were shown to millions of people in this country? Umeshi, if you can...
This problem actually has 3 dimensions. This problem has 3 dimensions. The first dimension is, of course, apathy. They don't clean the drains properly, or you don't clean the road properly, or things like this. There is no doubt about that. And we can't blame the blamers for this because they have planned it properly, but we are unable to manage it. But this is not the only reason, and that is why every year after year you have the same problem. Even if the drains are cleaned, you still find the same problem. The second issue is of garbage disposal. What has happened is that out of 12, or I don't know what is the figure now, 12,000-13,000 tons of garbage collected every year, hardly about 9,000-10,000 reaches so 2,000 tons of garbage remains, and much of it you find strewn on the road. So as soon as the rain comes, this garbage goes into the drains, and you choke the drains at a time when you need the drains to be totally clean. Now this is another problem which needs to be tackled by planners. I don't dispute that. But there is another problem, especially in Delhi, Gurugram and other cities. All the drainage water has to go into the Jamna. Now, when there is a heavy rain, the Jamna level also rises. And if you remember many years back, there used to be flooding every year. And these flooding was stopped by making these huge bunds on the side of the Jamna.
Yes.
So what is happening is the water remains in the Jamna, it rises, and since all these drains, the stormwater drains,
sir,
etc.,
I think a lot of issues are lost
so
in the political narrative.
No, just let me.
Yeah. I want to bring in callers as well. I want to bring in callers as well, sir. Umesh ji, I'll come back to you. Pradeep from Uttarakhand is also joining us. Pradeep ji, आप बताइए, उत्तराखंड में भी बाढ़ से या फिर बारिश से बहुत सारी समस्याओं का लोगों को सामना करना पड़ता है. इस बार परिस्थिति कैसी है?
हेलो,
प्रदीप जी, अपनी टेलीविजन की आवाज बंद कर दीजिए.
कैन यू हियर मी मैम?
आई कैन हियर यू प्रदीप जी.
हाँ, ये उत्तराखंड में फ्लड आ गया इस समय. मेरा ऊर्जा से सवाल है. ये तो बहुत दावे करते हैं बड़े बड़े.
जी, किस तरह की समस्याओं का सामना करना पड़ा आपको?
न पानी है न कुछ है, गाड़ी ऐसी बह रही है. ये तो बहुत दावा कर रहे थे बड़े बड़े. प्रदीप मेरा नाम है मैम.
जी प्रदीप जी, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया हमें कॉल करने के लिए, अपनी समस्या बताने के लिए. और बहुत सारे नेता हैं यहाँ पे जो आपकी बात सुन रहे हैं. आई ऑल्सो वॉन्ट टू ब्रिंग इन संजीव गुप्ता, हु इज कॉलिंग अस फ्रॉम दिल्ली. संजीव जी, टेल अस व्हाट यू आर फेसिंग.
Yes, ma'am, the issue is not, this is gross capital mismanagement. If you see that each house, for increase in FAR, deposits crores of rupees. Suppose you are selling a house, I buy a house, I pay the government almost 10 to 20 lakh as stamp fee. Where does that money go? No, nobody knows. Then again, if I have to build a new plot over it, I have to build a new house, I pay crores as map fee to the municipal corporation. Where does that money go? Nobody knows. If you in totality see that the plot that was allotted 20 years back for say 2 lakh or 5 lakh, it is now worth almost 4 to 5 crore. The stamp duty involved is 20 to 25 lakh.
And you know, some of the municipal bodies in our country are the richest bodies in Asia, and yet we have potholes in those cities. That's the tragedy. Venkat from Mumbai is also calling us. Venkat, what are you facing?
Hi, good evening to everybody in the panel. I wanted to disagree with what the BJP spokesperson is talking about when she's practically living in a denial mode. When once you go into a denial mode, the mistake that's been happening for ages now will never be rectified. When I have been an ardent supporter of BJP, but still I have to say this because until unless you accept your mistakes, you're not going to rectify the issues at all. And the other two issues that I feel are the causes for this problem is the municipal corporation employees who allot the water body areas to builders and other contractors for development or whatever, instead of actually utilizing it in such situations where waterlogging can happen.
I take all the feedback that has come in from our callers, and in that same spirit of having a constructive conversation, I go back to our political guests, Mudit Agarwal and Anuja Kapoor. And Anuja, I'm talking irrespective of the political lines. You're the elected government of the day. In the next 5 to 10 years, can we expect proactive solutions to come from the government? And can there be, perhaps an effort across party lines to have a solution in place? How to tackle this menace that we face each year after year? It continues to get worse.
First of all, I would like to say that I empathize with all the callers. It is not that we are inhuman. We really empathize with all the callers who have just spoken about it. And putting a blame on BJP because our anchor is only talking about BJP governments.
Because you're the elected government, ma'am. Ma'am, because you're the elected government. We're talking about Gurugram right now. We are talking about Gurugram. Why? I asked you a policy question. All you do is shout. All you do is personal attack. All you do is political blame game. Why don't you talk about policy?
Various redevelopment projects, out of which rupees 800 crore will be spent on Iran, the job very soon. This is what we are telling you. And we also tell you that Najafgarh drain, which is coming from Delhi government, has to decongestize it because it is during a peak rainfall. This causes a lot of water solution, lot of water logging.
All right, I'm short of time. Anuja, I'm very sorry I have to interrupt you there. I thank all my guests for joining us on the broadcast. It's unfortunate that we're not able to get long-term policy solutions from our politicians. With that, it's a wrap from my side. Shivani Gupta takes it forward.